Monday morning to you all. Thanks for joining us on Alive this morning. I hope you had a restful weekend, even though actually my weekend was far away from rest. But sometimes there are prices or sacrifices you pay for being an adult, and I think that comes with you trying to take care of your responsibilities, and sometimes you get not to have the full rest that you deserve. But I think, Mariam, you probably had, a swell weekend. Even though for the fact that the weekend was busy, it didn't mean that, it wasn't, a swell one. So we appreciate God for everything.
Appreciate God indeed. We really, really appreciate God. But when you talk about it's been swell, yes, maybe half of it. Maybe out of 48 hours, I had 6 hours of soul time during the weekend because it was a long, long weekend for me. But that won't stop me from intended to be, because that is the reason for being alive, and it is just to evolve every minute, every opportunity I get to make life worth it. So I am saying to you now that Tante, you're looking so sweet, like someone who did not even go through any stress during the weekend.
It is the grace of God. Because trust me, just the way I said, my weekend was far away from rest, but it is all good. We thank God for
it. Is all good though, but you need to get enough rest.
Of course, we are going to get enough rest. But just the way I said, sometimes you need to pay, for being an adult, and some of us are really.
Someone said you are the sacrificial lamb. Anytime you will come into the family as the first fruit. So you are either the sacrificial lamb or maybe the black goats. But this time around is not the negative one. The black goat that should be, should pave way for the rest. The black goat that should, have to face it and help others, eke out a living, get their balance in life, and also enjoy all that life has got to offer. So if you are the firstborn, we will appreciate you, we love you, and we say, please keep doing the good job God has sent you to do in our families.
Of course, and that is Madam Oke giving you the motivation this morning. And my name is Tanti Azal, and we'll go straight to the paper review this morning, and we will be starting from the Punch newspaper. And on the Punch newspaper, the window story here says, Federal government seeks speedy delivery of Turkish attack helicopters, and that you will see on page 7. And when you go to page 36, you will see Fidelity Bank, John Vance, seal $40 million cocoa deal. And on page 26 and 31, you will see challenging PNID fraud saved Nigeria $15 billion, says Buhari. And when you come to the main headline here, it says Labour blames government officials meet federal government today. All right, and that you will see on page 2. When you go down, you will see politicians stays for foreign goods pushing Nigeria to disaster. NLC says that, and it also says Labour threatens to boycott talks with government if minister attends. And then coming to page 10, you will see Lagos begins demolition of Ikoyi structures near drainages. That has been going on for a while in Lagos, and some of the markets are also being closed down because they need to follow a proper structure that has been planned for Lagos State. And the people have been complaining about their markets and how they are going to survive with the hardship in the country. And they are also asking if the government can also provide them, an alternative. So please, even as the government is demolition, the government should also put in mind that some people are actually struggling at this time, and their businesses cannot just be put to stop like that. So, look for a better solution for the people. And when you go to page 30, still on the Punch newspaper, you will see importers return to parallel market as Naira rebounds. And that is all we have on the Punch this morning.
So this morning on the Nation newspaper, I have, basically business stories have been making rounds, and big business stories have been creating or setting the agenda in the media. And presently I have our president, the certified president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, saying business obstacles to go. Tinubu assures investors, and the subsequent one has it that with Supreme Court verdict, no more distractions. President hosts German Chancellor. And I have also NLC threatens boycott of today's review meeting with federal government. Court stops Labour's Occupy Imo plan, and that is on page 5 of the Nation newspaper this morning. Some of the stories that also made rounds. We have explosion rocks Rivers House of Assembly. Explosion rocks Rivers House of Assembly complex, and that's on the page 6. And on X, we can see people saying different things, people throwing jabs, people holding governments responsible, people saying this is another plot from government officials. But whatever it is, until we get the outcome of the investigations, then we can, say this is what really happened. And we also have on the page 21 of the Nation newspaper this morning, illegal fishing, a threat to blue economy, as $600 million lost annually, and that's on the page 21. Losing P and ID case would have cost Nigeria $15 billion, says Buhari, and that's on the page 6. That means P and ID company means a whole lot to Nigeria's economy, and we hope something comes out good this week as regards that case. Both with 100 onboard capsizes in Taraba State, and that's on the page 6 of the Nation's newspaper. Though it is so disheartening, getting to hear this kind of story on a Monday, the start of the week, it is not so good, but we pray that God grants the family the fortitude to bear the loss. We also have NNPCL, which holds 13.27 trillion naira from FAAC, and that is on the page 5 of the Nation's newspaper. Nothing much as regards the sub headlines and the headlines, but we hope to get the full fact and the details of the story while we speak on.
All right. Now going to Vanguard newspaper this morning, we have on the window story, we want to change weak economy narratives. And that is coming from Tinubu to German leader, and that you will see on page 25. And on page 14, it says NAS, INEC, judiciary, and future elections. And another one here on page 9, you will see Fidelity Bank boosts Nigeria's non-oil exports with FITCC hosting. And that you see on page 9. And the main bold headline here says NLC, TUC, NECA to federal government, hold fall in Naira value. And the sub headlines here says, asks federal government to take urgent actions to stabilize currency. NLC threatens action to compel. TUC blames IMF World Bank. And we also have free fall of Naira worrisome, NECA. And when you come to page 6, you will see Mona Catholic priest, 4 others abducted in Zamfara, Taraba. And on page 6, you see varsity lecturer killed in Niger. And on page 16, you will see, on page 31, you will see Lisa Star block NDD from joining Super Eagles, and that is on the sports story this morning. And on page 10, you see Oyo government files appeal against removal of Sean. And then on page 6 also you see Tinubu ACF, others known as Ohinoyi of Ebereland, dies at 95. And it is a good thing for someone to live up to 95 years, and I hope you know, that some of us will live to see, you know, so many years like this
And
because
that
it
is
is not easy.
yeah, it's not easy, and that is why you really need to take care of your health. You're trying to amass wealth, you're trying to eke out a living, but you forget the fact that my health is so important. So if you leave that fact, I am so sorry to say this, that you are trying to cut short your own life. You should come first. Your health should come first, and that is why we are celebrating the life of this leader. Because if it were to be a case of mourning, maybe he died at the age of 40, 30, you know, early 50s, there won't be so much joy from the people of Ibira land, and that is why people are consoling the families. They are, you know, tendering their condolences to the families that, oh, we are sorry, but yet we are celebrating the life of a great man in the from the Ibira kingdom. Some people will call it Ibira, but it's actually Ibira kingdom.
Really,
Okay,
I've
yes.
always known it to be Ibira.
Yes, I think that is their language. That is their language, the tone at which they pronounce it.
Okay.
But so, still on the Ibira story, we have Tinubu Northern Governors, other months as Ohinoyi of Ibira dies at 94, and that's on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Setting up the agenda on this paper, we have federal government yet to pay 79.3 billion naira peculiar allowance 7 months after. These people are groaning, looking at the present economy of our nation, looking at the high cost of living, and you know, they really want to, you know, do or act accordingly as a normal person should, and that is why they are clamoring for the payment of the allowances. Juicing ultimatum ends tomorrow. NLC alleges lack of capacity to manage wages. Supplementary budget stalls payment in agencies. And finally, on that, we have Finance Ministry mom. They have gone mom. Well, looking at the insecurity in our country, we have bandits kill only teachers in Kaduna community, and that's on page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Federal government plans reabsorption of retired military officers. I think in a bid to, you know, tackle the challenges, the menace. Federal government is really working out something as regards security. UN raises alarm as food stores ransacked in Gaza. This is the sad story. Gaza Hamas story. It's something that we have been, you know, listening, following, and it's something that is so disheartening. It's not so pleasant to the ears, especially when we get to see gory images, gory videos, and all of those things. I just pray that God speaks peace himself to that nation. We also have many feared dead as boat with over 100 passengers capsizes in Taraba. Power Ministry yet to give policy directive after 2 months in office. Nigeria, Chinese firm signs 365 billion naira contract to upgrade distribution lines. That is still very good because we can see that there is improvement. The blue economy is going to work for Nigeria, and we hope this this present administration, you know, gives us what we have been clamoring for.
Of course. And going to the Guardian newspaper, we have on the window story saying unconstitutional for politicians to be INEC reg, and that you will see on page 2. And Oshun APC PDP bicker over Adeleke's 100 billion naira infrastructural agenda, and that you'll see on page 7. And Fidelity Bank signs $40 million deal with Afrexim Bank, joint venture for cocoa export, and that you'll see on page 4. And the main story here says why probe of 11.3 trillion naira refineries maintenance cost will end futile. and that you'll see on page 6. When you come to still on page 6, you will see energy challenges undermining Nigeria's development, Tinubu admits. And on page 2, you will see the imperative of a good road infrastructure. And when you come to page 3, you will see PNI, the importance of following legal process in dispute resolution by Buhari. And, on page 3, you will see APC risks losing future polls with questionable candidates, says Don. And that is all I have on the Guardian newspaper.
I don't want to repeat the headlines we have been, reading, but we have 3 major stories on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. I have reps move to give legal backing to artisanal petroleum refineries, and that's on the page 7 of the Tribune newspaper this morning. I think there is a kind of heat from the people to the federal government, and the federal government is saying that, okay, we are not just rested, we are not just sitting in the office, we are working towards ensuring that every Nigerian to the very grassroots gets to enjoy the good from the biggest basket of the nation, which is the oil. And we hope that we get something as soon as possible. We hope that 2024 becomes a year that is really, really worth it. And we have CNG vehicles. Federal government inaugurates Lagos Pilot Conversion Center. First, it was GIC on Monday, the Chinese contract that was signed with the Lagos state government, and now it is the federal government, federal government inaugurating the Lagos Pilot Conversion Center. I think this is really, really good. I don't want to say I know, because people will be like, how about the rest of us? Okay, let's just, pick up these papers, read through, and thank God for the internet. We can get facts from them so that we will stay updated and ahead of some information that people get to, send to us that at the end of the day creates a kind of misinformation. And finally, on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning, I have Nadeko to Tinubu implement APC El-Rufai recommendations on reconstructuring and power devolution. And that is what this present administration is about.
All right, that is all we have for on the paper review this morning. Whatever information you want to have more details on, you can go get, Tribune,
the Vanguard,
and
Guardian,
the Punch, and all the newspapers you can get to have more detail. And this is all we have on this segment. We'll be going on a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
On Alive TV.
Taking a look at events in Nigeria. And now the news in detail.
Look at the number of people he has built.
He has the capacity. And today, a historical reoccurrence is taking place right here in Jos.
We need to be involved in the voting process. Your vote counts.
Government, in spite of its lean resources, is running a welfare program for the most vulnerable in our country. We've never had that before. Welcome back. Nigeria should be competing with countries like
I am Hansi Agad.
Alive News. Keeping it fresh.
Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency have arrested 2 businessmen at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, with consignment of cocaine and heroin going to Hong Kong and France concealed in their bellies. While 38-year-old Thengo Chimampa Amenike was arrested at the boarding gate of the Abuja airport on Friday, 20th October, during the outward clearance of passengers. Another passenger, 41-year-old Abo Chidike Prince, was taken into NDLEA custody on Saturday, 21st October, while attempting to board an Ethiopian Airlines to Hong Kong via Addis Ababa. They were both arrested and detained after their body scan revealed they ingested illicit drugs. After days in custody and a number of excretions, MNEK excreted 72 wraps of heroin weighing 1.171 kilograms, while Chidike discharged 49 pellets of cocaine with a total weight of 998.53 grams. In his statement, Chidike claimed he is a businessman dealing in spare parts at the Alaba International Market in Ojo area of Lagos. He added that he was to be paid 3.5 million, which he intended to use to import goods from Hong Kong. In an ongoing video going round on social media, you know, someone has something to say. So let's watch what one of the victims have to say, and we'll be right back.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a businessman.
Where is your business office?
Alaba International Market.
What kind of items do you deal on?
I deal on Tokumbo items.
Can you tell us specifically which type of Tokumbo items you deal with?
Such as TV, printer, photocopy, and laptop.
Where were you traveling to?
Traveling to Hong Kong.
Okay, can you tell us what happened today as you came to Abuja Airport, the 21st of October 2023?
I was caught with a drug.
Did you pack the drugs in your bag, your body, or you swallowed them?
I swallowed them.
How many pellets did you swallow?
49 pieces.
49 pieces. You know the type of drug you swallowed?
I don't know.
Did they tell you?
No, sir.
They did not tell you?
No, sir.
Okay. Did they make any promise to you?
Yes.
Or were you paid?
I was not paid. I made them promise.
That what will happen if you carry the drugs?
I go to Hong Kong, they will give me money.
How much?
They will give me 3.5 million.
Were you to be given the money in Hong Kong or when you come back to Nigeria?
They will give me money in Hong Kong.
So what do you intend to do with that money in Hong Kong?
I will use them buy market.
What type of market?
Tokumbo, as I said before. So,
can you please tell us your name?
My name is Bochidike Prince.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a businessman.
Where is your business office?
Alaba International Market.
What kind of items do you deal on?
I deal on Tokumbo items.
Can you tell us specifically which type of Tokumbo items you deal with?
Such as TV, printer, photocopy, and laptop.
Where were you traveling to?
Traveling to Hong Kong.
Okay, can you tell us what happened today as you came to Abuja Airport, the 21st of October 2023?
I was caught with a drug.
Did you pack the drugs in your bag, your body, or you swallowed them?
I swallowed them.
How many pellets did you swallow?
49 pieces.
49 pieces. You know the type of drug you swallow?
I don't know.
Did they tell you?
No, sir.
They did not tell you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did they make any promise to you?
Yes.
Or were you paid?
I was not paid. I made them promise.
That what will happen if you carry the drugs?
I go to Hong Kong, they will give me money.
How much?
They will give me 3.5 million.
Were you to be given the money in Hong Kong or when you come back to Nigeria?
They will give me money in Hong Kong.
So what do you intend to do with that money in Hong Kong?
I will use them buy market.
What type of market?
Tokumba, as I said before.
Which expression is this?
4.
Fourth expression.
Yeah.
How many pellets did you excrete?
On this one now,
Yes,
14.
14. Please, can you count them? And you'll be audible so we can hear you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
You pick any 5 of your choice so that we'll cut them open and carry out a preliminary test. We have the Gaku machine here. We have swab tape, United Nations drug testing kits that we use in testing the drug. So I'll cut them open now.
This is actually a typical example of don't envy anyone you see being called rich until you get to know exactly what they do.
Because
and I have come, I can remember back in the day when you see a girl bring her boyfriend to the house, and the first thing the father asks is, what does he do? And most times you hear some of them say, I'm an importer, exporter. And what are you importing? What are you exporting? We have to understand, because some people, just the way he said, he was going to be given 3.5, one of them is going to be given 3.5 million in Hong Kong. Then he gets goods and brings it back to Nigeria, and everybody claps for him that, oh, he is a businessman who is succeeding. He's doing and he's going to be many of the businessmen would see him and be jealous of what he has without them knowing goes through or what he does, you know, that is illegal for him to get this. Then that is why, to be honest, when you see people, you know, doing what they are doing, don't really envy them. Just the way you mentioned, you know, I'll be okay with my money.
I'm this kind of person that is so, I feel so, this kind of content that, okay, I have 50,000 naira. Let me enjoy my 50,000 naira in peace and not in pieces. Let me make my 50,000 naira in peace, save a little that is if I can save from it. Okay, you see, I always bring it to the basics, like, okay, you have 50,000 naira, you have a lot of things to do, you have families to feed, you have responsibility, and at the end of the day, you come back to tell me that from that 50,000 naira, you're saving 20,000 naira. How are you helping your family to survive? That means something is really wrong somewhere. Something is happening, or you're adding some other things to that very thing you're doing. Now, the society is, you know, applauding people that displays wealth ostentatiously. He buys cars today, celebrates him opening a house tomorrow, and all of this, and you'd be like, I sell the same clothes. I don't know what's, you know, or what is it doing differently? It's kind of connection. You also want to, then want to enter into that or dive into that his source of wealth, then you will know that it is really, really dirty. So it boils down to the fact that we should not always, you know, envy people or things that we don't know the source.
Of course. And going straight to the next story, we have the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has reportedly slashed the October salaries and allowances of workers in the nation's capital. Some workers claim that the FCT administration cut down most of their salaries, adding that the budget and personnel costs both had been exhausted. The workers made this known in a letter dated October 27th and signed by JUAC President Muhyiddin Oluwakorede and Secretary Onojo Sunday. However, some affected workers, while speaking with newsmen, stated that the pay cut had affected their daily living. Blaming Wike, the workers added that the cut had further plunged them into untold hardship, especially with the increasing cost of almost all commodities in the country. In other stories, President Bola Tinubu has mourned the death of the Ohinoi of Ebereland, His Majesty Dr. Abdurrahman Ado Ibrahim. Ibrahim died peacefully in the early hours of Sunday, October 29, 2023, at the age of 94. It was gathered that the monarch passed away around 2 a.m. at a hospital in Abuja. In a statement on Sunday by his spokesperson, Ajuri Ngilale, President Tinubu condoled with the government and people of Kogi State on the passing of the revered traditional ruler. The president says the death of the Ohinoi is a painful loss, describing the late monarch as peace-loving, highly respected, and cerebral. President Tinubu asked the good people of Kogi State to take solace in the legacy of peace and fellowship left behind by the late monarch. Away from that, a fire has broken out from the Rivers State House of Assembly complex. The fire was reported at about 10 p.m. on Sunday. This is coming amidst rumors of an impending impeachment procedure against the state governor, Sim Fubara. Attempts to get information from members of the House have proven abortive as the lawmakers have remained tight-lipped on the remote plot. It is unclear if the fire is connected with a political imbroglio, but rumors of a rift between Governor Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, who is now FCT Minister, have been brewing for some time now. And actually, the update on this story is that the impeachment is already ongoing and there's a little bit of tear gas here and there, a little bit of protest here and there. But I just pray that whatever is happening in the Rivers State House of Assembly, they get to, solve it as soon as possible.
I think that should not create any form of unrest in the society, because you have a little rift between the party. And that brings us the fact that maybe 50% of our politicians are not really concerned about the people they, supposedly govern. How would you be governing a society that is not enjoying the peace that it deserves? The people are not happy, and you feel that you can, continue to govern them. So why should we have such in our society? Why should they not consider people first? So, and on X, a whole lot of people have been saying that the fire incident is a plot. Some people are saying it is a way of diverting people's attention. We just hope that after the investigations, we get to, we get to the depth of the issue.
Of course. And going to another story, the Supreme Court bringing closure on the February 25th presidential election, giving victory to President Tinubu. Chief Sunday Dare, the former Minister for Youth and Sports Development, in an interview with Alive TV, expressed his delight in the judgment last Thursday that upheld the victory of the president. Speaking further, the minister describes Tinubu as a long-distance runner and that Nigerians should not have doubt in his ability to change the country for good. The minister also urged Nigerians to be a little more patient, even as he understands the hardship that is being faced by many.
It's a victory for democracy,
a validation of the votes of millions of Nigerians, the votes that were cast on February 25th, 2023 for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And I think that is an elixir for most Nigerians and also a fresh breath for our democracy, because we know every election is disputed in this country. And of course, that's part of democracy. It's not new. But then, because of the reactions and the developments that followed the most recent presidential elections, we've had the atmosphere charged. There's been a lot of political tension. There have been a lot of fake news and too many dimensions. And we needed to have that final judgment of the Supreme Court to bring a closure to that process. And for me, that closure occurred on Thursday when the Supreme Court delivered its groundbreaking judgment. For most Nigerians, it's a welcome judgment. We must congratulate Nigerians, because now you have a government that can concentrate and focus on the campaign promises it made. But also, there's a new lease of life and opportunity to be able to meet the challenges of our time that confronts this country. And I'm pretty sure that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is a thoroughbred Democrat, will make sure that good governance is brought to bear, that as a tactician, he will look at these problems and work with other Nigerians to bring about the solutions that are needed. Every leader inherits the great possibilities, the anticipation, inherits the assets and liabilities of the previous government, and then comes in with his own tools to try to solve those problems. The point is, we have a surgeon right now, a political surgeon, proven track record, who can confront this problem with some level of certainty and audacity that we need right now. But then I say, look, it's a path to recovery. And that path to recovery takes time. As he applies and he injects us with different policies and decisions, I know it's not going to be easy. Like one of his most famous sayings, you cannot eat omelette without breaking eggs. So mine is just to urge Nigerians to say, look, we need to support in whatever capacity that we can and give this administration and this president the benefit of the doubt. Right now in our history, he is the man that has been chosen, that has been called upon to drive or steer the ship of our country, and we need to support him. And I'm sure that increasingly in the next several months, we will see incremental improvements that will all come together, and then we can say that indeed we have chosen a leader for our time.
Hello and welcome to Live News. The immediate past Minister of Youth and Sports Development Chief Sunday Dare.
The federal government of Nigeria has taken punitive action against the sectarian. Nigerians have expressed fear over the possible shutdown of businesses and job losses.
See, things are just going higher every day.
for the fact that going from here to Ombalinde before was at 300, but now is at the high side of 700, 600.
The subsidy costs us trillions of naira yearly. Such as a vast sum of money will have been better spent on public transportation, health care, school, housing, and even national security.
On Alive TV.
Taking a look at events in Nigeria. And now the news in detail.
Look at the number of people he has built.
It has the capacity. And today, a historical reoccurrence is taking place right here in Jos.
You need to be involved in the voting process. Your vote counts.
Government, in spite of its lean resources, is running a welfare program for the most vulnerable in our country. We've never had that before. Welcome back. Nigeria should be competing with countries like
I am Kanti Ada.
Alive News. Keeping it fresh.
Alive TV. Alive TV. Alive TV. Alive TV. Alive TV. Alive TV. Alive TV.
Joining us this morning is Prince Yemisi Shilon, a graduate of Engineering University of Ibadan, and also a law graduate of University of Lagos and an MBA degree of Bafemi Awolowo University. He is a Nigerian chartered stockbroker and fellow of several chartered professional bodies. You're welcome to the show, Prince.
Thank you.
All right. We'll have to start our conversation this morning with the 58 billion exotic vehicles. Members of the House of Representatives have started taking delivery of those vehicles, and you know, people have been complaining about how it is not proper that the reps are actually thinking of getting such exotic cars. But then, if you recall that the National Assembly had declared already that they are going to buy it, irrespective of what is happening in the country, and giving explanation or giving reasons why they need that car, what that amount of money in this hardship. So what do you have to say about all this? Can you hear us, sir?
well, we'll have to connect with the Prince on this. You know, this is an issue that we've been talking about lately. You know, the reps or the Senate, you know, saying that they want to get such exotic car, and people have been saying, why do we need, or why do they need such cars at this particular time? And then they came out to give some of the reasons, you know, why they would need to have such cars. And it is actually a very funny situation, but, you know, we'll have to, is he with us now? Okay, can you hear us, Prince? All right, we'll now have to go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue with the discussion, and by then we'll have Prince join us on the program. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome to Live News. The immediate past Minister of Youth and Sports Development Chief Sunday Dare. The federal government of Nigeria has taken punitive action against the secretariat. Nigerians have expressed fear over the possible shutdown of businesses and job losses.
See, things are just going higher every day.
For the fact that going from here to Ombalinde before was at 300, but now is at the high side of 700, 800.
The subsidy costs us trillions of naira yearly. Such as a vast sum of money will have been better spent on public transportation, health care, school, housing, and even national security.
On Alive TV.
Taking a look at events in Nigeria. And now the news in detail.
Look at the number of people he has built.
He has the capacity. And today, a historical reoccurrence is taking place right here in Jos.
You need to be involved in the voting process. Your vote counts.
Government, in spite of its lean resources, is running a welfare program for the most vulnerable in our country. We've never had that before. Welcome back. Nigeria should be competing with countries like
I am Kanti Aga.
Alive News, keeping it fresh.
Alive TV. Alive TV. Alive TV.
In a recent interview, APC spokesperson Felix Moka says that the criticisms which trailed the decision of the lawmakers to buy exotic vehicles are valid. He says, though the National Assembly will make its own decisions and follow its own rules, they should understand that Nigerians have concerns which need to be taken into account while making decisions for themselves. And this is APC coming out to say, okay, we understand that the National Assembly have what they want to, to achieve, but they should also pay attention to the cry of people. So which means even the APC, government is also questioning the idea of buying such exotic cars.
Tante, this is a very wonderful question. I would have loved Prince Yemi Shilon to have answered, but due to some of the challenges, technical challenges, let me just use that word, and even if we look at things happening recently in our country, we should be able to relate it with what did Tinubu tell us during his campaign. And that brings us back to what he stated, because I remember I read the 73 pages of the Renewed Hope agenda, where he talked about the different sectors, the oil and gas, he talked about caring for people. So I'm going to be bringing out this point where he said the plans and ideas we have presented underscore our confidence in our ability to meet the challenges of the day. You get, and pave the way to a better future. Now we're talking about a better future. Nigerians are in serious hardship. Eking out a living is not something that a child would actually come out to say, okay, I can do it on my own. And it also, he said, it is grounded in our faith, in our people's collective purpose, and in the rightfulness of our nation's cause. So why are we having the purchase of sport utility vehicles at this time? Why should it be that the House of Representatives thinks this is the best thing they could, they can actually come up with in this kind of a doodlum economy? The economy is not balanced. We are looking forward to a blue economy, but the thing is still saying, okay, I'm still wavy. Why not first look for a solution for the unforeseen contingencies that Nigerians and in fact the president faced right after he was declared the president? Look at the 171 days that he had to go to face the law. Different cases, different charges. It was, some people said it was ably represented at some point. Some said it was misrepresented, and some people said, well, the president was this, was that. Why don't you look at the solution to the outcries of these people? People are shouting. People are talking about the hardship. People are talking about the imbalance in the economy, and you are saying this very thing is the right thing to do. And also, he said, on the path ahead, we shall encounter some rough spots. President Tinubu and Shettima already have, envisioned all of those things. And he said, yet we must remain hopeful in the fact that the road we travel leads to a better. But this is where I'm going to. He said, as long as we think wisely, do boldly and remain faithful to our noble objectives. So where is the noble objective? Is the objective about buying SUVs? Is the objective about suiting or giving suiting relief to men in power and not the people that you are governing? Is it about a particular sect? Is it about a particular number of people? Is it about the few in the nation? Why not talk about the whole of Nigeria? We are Nigerians, and I go back to the fact that Emeka Anyaoku, the former Secretary General of the United Nations, said Nigeria needs a reconstitution. I'm not in support of that. But if you continue to do the not necessary things, you will see that people will keep bringing points that are valid or not valid just to counter this very administration. And with this that the House of Representatives have done, they are creating a kind of hatred, a kind of disbelief, a kind of, let me say, unrest kind of in the heart and in the society, because people are ready to fight. And I will appreciate the president. You know, he knows his honors and he knows how to tackle situations when it gets to that point.
And of course, it is actually a thing of worry and a concern that at this particular time, you have said it, that it will cause unrest.
Of course,
in the heart of
it is causing it already in some areas.
Yes.
And
you're coming out to say we want to get such.
Imagine Karim is saying that even though I know that the road to my own district, you know, is bad, I still deserve the sport utility vehicle. Who does that? And some people are saying it's because his people are still friendly with him. Some are saying that's because his people does not have the power to vote him out. Yes, they can vote him out, they can do whatever, but you know, he should not misrepresent his people and act as if they do not have a need that he should represent before the government.
Of course, but at this time we'll be going right back. Stay with us. Hello and welcome to Live News. The immediate past Minister of Youth and Sports Development Chief Sunday Dare, the federal government of Nigeria has taken punitive action against the secretariat. Nigerians have expressed fear over the possible shutdown of businesses and job losses.
See, things are just going higher every day.
For a fact that going from here to Ombalimbe before was at 300, but now is at the high side of 700, 800.
The subsidy costs us trillions of naira yearly. Such as a vast sum of money will have been better spent on public transportation, health care, school, housing, and even national security.
On Alive TV.
Taking a look at event in Nigeria. And now the news in detail.
Look at the number of people he has built.
He has the capacity. And today, a historical reoccurrence is taking place right here in Jos.
You need to be involved in the voting process. Your vote counts.
Government, in spite of its lean resources, is running a welfare program for the most vulnerable in our country. We've never had that before. Welcome back. Nigeria should be competing with countries like
I am Hansi Agara.
Alive News.
Welcome back. We now have Prince Yemisi Shilon this morning. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
All right. There's a development on the Rivers State impeachment. You know, there's a saga. There's a little controversy between Wike, the Rivers State Governor Sim Fubara, and his predecessor Wike. And you know, there was a fire incident that happened yesterday, which, you know, some people are saying it is also political. It is related to, you know, some of the saga happening between Wike and then the governor, and also the impeachment that is currently going on right now. The vote to impeach the governor is going on right now. What do you have to say on that situation?
Well, I am not somebody that jumps to conclusion about situations. I want to be properly advised about what is on ground before I begin to jump to conclusions or express my opinions. Because our opinions are very common now in Nigeria. People of different cadre, different levels of education, different exposure, just make marketplace public opinions. So I will not want to comment about the details about what is transpiring between in the River State. But I want to say this generally, that our country is going through a period whereby the political terrain is a pigsty, and it attracts, at best, pigs. And you have all manner of people playing politics in Nigeria with very little regard to the common interest of Nigerians. And that is what concerns me. And what concerns me is, how can we find good leadership for Nigeria? How can we begin to give good leadership? And that is the problem that concerns me. And why does it concern me? The problem is all the political parties in Nigeria, they do not have any ideology, a distinct ideology that is people-oriented and nation-oriented. And so that is why you find people moving from one party to the other, and it doesn't make any difference, because there is no difference between one party or the other. People just jump around, and the followers follow because of the problem of leadership and followership in Nigeria. And what I want to say is, our leadership needs to be properly redefined. A situation where Section 131 of the subsisting Constitution of Nigeria says the President of Nigeria does not have to do more than having attended secondary school, and where Section 177 of the Nigerian Constitution makes similar provision, and yet that same president and governor oversees medical doctors with many years educational qualification, oversees judges of many years called to bar. The same people that do not have to have more than secondary school education will now oversee the operations of well-educated people. I think that is what we should be addressing. We should not go into singular discussion of any issue. We should talk about the general situation of our country. Our country is in a dire strait, and we need good leadership. Good leadership that can put the followers in line. There is no nation in the world where people don't break traffic lights in the night. There is no nation. But the fact that nations that provide camera in the dead of the night, the citizens will not break traffic lights. A nation like Nigeria, which does not have in place mechanisms, laws, systems, institutions to ensure that we have right leadership that can straighten our rudderless ship in the high sea, we will continue to witness things like what you are talking about.
All right, you mentioned leadership and followership. The former Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amaechi, claims that Nigerians are responsible for the decay in the country. While speaking at the NICH annual lecture on the topic Why We Stride and Sleep, Leadership, Nationalism and the Nigerian Condition, dismissed the argument that only leaders are responsible for the country's failure. And now Amaechi insisted that Nigerians' most significant problem is followership that is comfortable with the poor state of affairs, adding that ethnicity, faulty foundation, selfish motives, amongst many others, are, responsible for the decay of the country. So what is your debate on this argument, sir?
My point is that it's very unfortunate that somebody who served in the River State as in the legislature, he headed the legislature, he worked for 8 years, became governor for 8 years, and became a federal minister for 8 years. After enjoying these positions, can now make this statement. I want to say that Nigeria's problem is both leadership and followership. Followership, yes, we have a problem with our followers. Followers who do not have anything that ties them together. Nigeria is a lamb that is being shot by many, many arrows of leadership in this country that is killing the lamb. The lamb is dying. The lamb is dying from leadership problems of legislators, the banks, the executives, the churches, the mosques, everything is killing that lamb. So Nigeria has a problem of leadership. Leadership straightens nations. Where a leader, after serving 24 years in leadership position, now after enjoying such juices of office, now sits down to condemn followership. I find it very unfortunate. Yes, my country has problem of both leadership and followership. But leaders are supposed to straighten society. I want to remind you that in China used to be like us, but they introduced laws and their Politburo is based on Confucianism. Confucianism is something that evolved from the culture of the Chinese. In India is a more tribal country than Nigeria. Yet India is making progress because they are run based on ideology that evolved from the indigenous culture of Hinduism. Now I want to take you to North Korea. In North Korea, if you abuse your office, you will be bazookaed and killed. All your body will split and will go in splinters. Now, unfortunately, we are being run under a ground norm, a constitution that does not provide for good leadership. Look at the various provisions, Section 131, Section 65, Section 177, and so on and so forth of our constitution. Appointment of leaders, of legislatures, of executives, and so on and so forth. We need to go back and restructure our country. We need a restructuring based on remodeling of our constitution that will make sure that our country is properly governed. And we don't have people who will lead this country for 24 years and then go back to condemn leadership. We have a problem in Nigeria.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for the valid point, sir. So, sir, I have this question, looking at the facts that you made mention of the Constitution. And barely 3-4 days ago, the former Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Chief Emeka Anyaoku, opined that Nigeria come up with a new constitution. He said this at the Afe Babalola University, and he said this is majorly because of the unprecedented level of divisiveness and declining sense of national unity among its people. There we talk about the banditry, the kidnapping, extrajudicial killings and all of those things. And now we are away from that a little bit. The hardship in Nigeria's economy, the nation at the moment, is actually costing people their lives. And we have the House of Senate coming out to say we have gotten the delivery of our SUVs worth 57.8 billion naira, and nobody is saying this they have done is wrong. And Nigerians are groaning, they are frowning at this very move. So, sir, I want you to, marry the fact that you made mention of the Constitution, the unrest in the nation, the followers and the leaders, especially the leaders that are acting unconcerned. And sir, permit me to say this also, that Anyaku stated that there is a complete bastardization of our society's ethical values and an unfathomable level of corruption evident in the often reported massive looting and mismanagement. So it brings me to the question that, is there anything good, or what would you say as regards the purchase of the SUV vehicles by the House of Senate and men in power? Let me just use that, the men in power, because that was what Karimi said. He said even though he knows that his people are not enjoying good infrastructure, yet he deserves a sport utility vehicle as the senator of that district. So what's your opinion as regards that, sir, looking at the hardship in the country?
Well, I'm not going to react to any statement by anybody, but I'm going to say this.
All right, sir.
That our values have been monetized. When you have a society whose values is measured by the amount of money in your pocket, and not by virtue of your virtues, and the content of your person, then you have a problem. Our country's values have been monetized. There was a time at the beginning of the current presidential system of government in 1999, when Nigerian senators did not earn more than 6,000 naira a month, and they did not demand for SUVs. But this country has increasingly become monetized in values. And when I say this country, I mean all of us, including you, the interviewer. Check your hairdo, and you find that they are imported. You won't buy anything Nigerian. Check your shoes. Check your earrings. Our lifestyle is consumptive. Nigeria imports virtually everything it needs, and Nigeria does not export any value-added product. We export raw productions of agricultural productions and God-given minerals in the raw state. We don't add value. Industries are dying because people prefer to import fake products, and there is high demand for forex, and we keep blaming government. Everybody is guilty, whether you are a leader or a follower. We need to change our attitude to our nation. We spend all our money to. There was a time an ambassador from a country said, Nigeria is the largest importer of champagne in the world. Look, our values are completely inverted. We blame everybody and forget that when we point the single finger, four others are pointed at us. We need to sit down. We need to talk. The country is imploded. It's imploding. It's imploding from the conflicting forces of tribalism, conflicting forces of self-interest, conflicting forces of greed, conflicting forces of ignorance. I can continue. This country is imploding from all these conflicting forces, and the lamp of Nigeria is dying from the arrows being shot at it. I am not going to talk about anybody's comment, but I'm going to say that the leaders of this country owe it a duty for them to create a dialogue, and they owe it a duty to have ad hoc committees set up in the highest echelons of government, ad hoc committees that can think for them. They have to have a sifting committee that will ensure that decisions that are taken by the topmost person in this country goes through some sifting, so that policies are properly thought of, and the impacts and repercussions of policies are properly thought of, and provisions are made to take care of such before we go on air to announce policies. Policies are being hastily taken, decisions are taken and withdrawn into Nigeria's embarrassment. We need to rejig our country. That is the problem. And to rejig our country, we need to dialogue. And our country and its people need to go back to its indigenous culture and stop parading with ideologies and cultures that are foreign to them for which they don't know. Some people came to my place yesterday and the guy was speaking with me in English. And I said, come, you can speak Igbo. He said, yes. Okay, let's speak Igbo. And the guy started speaking fake Igbo. The problem is we have to address our problem. We do not believe in ourselves. We lack self-esteem. We are now going to Rwanda. We are going to Rwanda. Nigerians are now paying money to go and see Rwanda. They don't know that Rwanda had to ban 6,000 churches. Rwanda had to say, before you can be a pastor, you must have a degree in theology. In Nigeria, you have all manner of charlatans running big churches and deceiving people and manipulating the minds of people. You have mosques with empty vessels, deceiving and manipulating the minds of people. You have many charlatans in different forms. That is we are running a ship in the high sea without a compass, and the captain is fully drugged. Thank you.
So, sir, you mentioned something. You made a point as regards integrity and Nigerians moving away from applauding our country and especially the judiciary. Because I read a piece from you that stated that the justices of Nigeria Supreme Court are proven men and women of integrity with the barest minimum of 15 years post call, and you praised our judiciary, and you talked about people hurling abusive words to members of the judiciary. So what would you say as regards because I told myself that I would love you to expatiate more on that, and how can the federal government curtail the abuse of freedom of speech and any such interaction that has to do with the government, and especially our judiciary that has to be treated with utmost respect, sir?
You have to remember one thing. Nigerian Constitution under Section 40 provides for freedom of expression. But that freedom of expression is not absolute. The Constitution does not give any absolute rights. Those rights can be modulated in the interest of the nation. People are taking advantage of our social media with or without knowledge about the issues on ground, and they are making emotional comments, stating opinions without knowledge and so on. That is what I wrote about, and that if we decide to want to pillage, vilify, and condemn those who are laboring for our country as against the national item of my country, that our heroes shall not be forgotten. If we do not have heroes, then how can you expect a good future for your country? That is what I was drawing our attention to. That we should be careful that the justices that they are lampooning, some of them are men of integrity. There is no perfect human being, but some of them are men of integrity. How would you feel if I accuse you of being a rogue when you are doing your work with all piety and with all integrity? You will not feel fine. And that is what I'm drawing our attention to, that we should not forget.
Well, we'll have to reconnect with Prince on this topic. We'll have to go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll have Prince continue with this conversation. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome to
Live News.
The immediate past Minister of Youth and Sports Development Chief Sunday Dare.
The federal government of Nigeria has taken punitive action against the secretariat.
Nigerians have expressed fear
over the possible shutdown of businesses and job losses.
See, things are just going higher every day.
For a fact that going from here to Ombalinde before was at 300, but now is at the high side of 700, 800.
The subsidy costs us trillions of naira yearly. Such as a vast sum of money will have been better spent on public transportation, health care, school, housing, and even national security.
On Alive TV.
Taking a look at events in Nigeria. And now the news in detail.
Look at the number of people he has built.
It has the capacity. And today, a historical reoccurrence is taking place right here in Jos.
We need to be involved in the voting process. Your vote counts.
Government, in spite of its lean resources, is running a welfare program for the most vulnerable in our country. We've never had that before. Welcome back. Nigeria should be competing with countries like
I am Kanti Aga.
Alive News. Keeping it fresh.
Hello and welcome to
Live News.
The immediate past Minister of Youth and Sports Development Chief Sunday Dare.
The federal government of Nigeria has taken punitive action against the secretariat.
Nigerians have expressed fear
over the possible shutdown of businesses and job losses.
See, things are just going higher every day.
For a fact that going from here to Ombalinde before was at 300, but now is at the high side of 700, 800.
The subsidy costs us trillions of naira yearly. Such as a vast sum of money will have been better spent on public transportation, health care, school, housing, and even national security.
On Alive TV.
Taking a look at events in Nigeria. And now the news in detail.
Look at the number of people he has built.
It has the capacity. And today, a historical reoccurrence is taking place right here in Jos.
need to be involved in the voting process. Your vote counts.
Government, in spite of its lean resources, is running a welfare program for the most vulnerable in our country. We've never had that before. Welcome back. Nigeria should be competing with countries like
I am Kanti Azar.
Alive News, keeping it fresh.
On Alive TV.
Taking a look at events in Nigeria. And now the news in detail.
Look at the number of people he has built.
He has the capacity. And today, a historical reoccurrence is taking place right here in Jos.
You need to be involved in the voting process. Your vote counts.
Government, in spite of its lean resources, is running a welfare program for the most vulnerable in our country. We've never had that before. Welcome back. Nigeria should be competing with countries like
I am Kanti Azar.
Alive News, keeping it fresh.
All right, we've been having a conversation with Prince Yemisi Shillong, and you talked about freedom of speech. And I want to talk about something, or let me read about on something. You know, a former Minister of Aviation, Femi Fani Kayode, has cautioned controversial Islamic cleric Sheikh Ahmed Gumi against inciting religious and ethnic war in the country. Recall that Sheikh Ahmed Gumi sparked widespread outrage in a sermon he delivered at a mosque in Kaduna, where he stated that Southerners and Christians cannot be trusted with the nation's security. He also said President Bola Tinubu would not be allowed to remain in power for the next 4 years if he fails to meet certain demands, which one of those demands is to remove the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. Gumi also accused President Tinubu and Wike of planning to turn Abuja into Tel Aviv, that's the Israeli capital, because he received the Israeli ambassador in his office. And we've been talking about how to make Nigeria better. Of course, we know that so many things have been happening in Israel, and people have been, you know, scared, talking about the rumor of Third World War. And now Gumi is coming out. And you know, most Nigerians are religious people, and they listen to their religious clerics So I want you to, talk about this and talking about the freedom of speech and how, inciting some of the comments that Gumi has said recently.
Well, it is very unfortunate that it is not only the quotes that you should quote. You should also quote what the leader of a very big Pentecostal church said about what is going on in Israel. Unfortunately, such a top leader of the church with a big magnitude of followership he said it in ignorance, because only 2% of Israelites are Christians. The bulk of them are Judaists. So please don't let us start dividing this country about quoting what a Muslim. So let's go back to the one you are quoting. A country that does not have an ideology, a country that under section 42, section 42 of the Nigerian Constitution. Sorry, section 10 of the Nigerian Constitution. It says that Nigeria is a secular state. Section 10 says Nigeria is not to be governed by any religion. But the fact is that Nigeria's governance is more in breach than in abeyance of the Section 10 Constitution, subsisting Section 10. And that is why there are some traditional, sectional leaders in this country who are using religion for their selfish ends to control and manipulate the minds of Nigerians. And I want to refer to the quotation of the great Karl Marx, who lived between 1813 and 1888. He said, and I quote, "Religion is the side of the oppressed." That's why you find Nigerians, when you tell them there is no light, God will do it. It's the side of the oppressed. He said, religion is the heart of the heartless world. Religion is the soul of the soulless condition. Religion is used by oppressors to manipulate the mind and control the actions of the oppressed. Religion is the opium of the people. End of quote. Karl Marx lived between 1818 and 1813 and 1888. That statement is more apt with Nigeria, both on all religious divides. They are using religion to manipulate the mind of people, and people are allowing themselves to be manipulated. They are using religion at different places in this country to manipulate them and control their actions. So, as far as I'm concerned, it takes people like me who have traveled around the world. I've been to 78 countries of the world. I have seen it all. I've been to India, where what their religion is Hinduism. I've been to Japan, where their religion is Shintoism. I've been to China, where their religion is Buddhism and Confucianism. I've been to many parts of the world. And I'll tell you one thing. Those countries with their various their religion evolved from their indigenous culture. They evolved from their indigenous culture. Buddhism evolved from the culture of the Asians. Shintoism evolved from the culture of the Asians. The Muslim faith evolved from the culture of the Arabs. The Christian faith evolved from the culture of the Western world, not Israel. Christian faith, is a movement that was built upon by the Romans, thanks to St. Constantine. So, we are allowing this religion to divide us. Two things we should not allow to divide us. One, religion. Two, tribalism. And why must the federal government ask me to fill form and ask for my state. Why? For what purpose? Why must the federal government ask me to fill forms and ask me for my religion? What is the purpose other than to divide us? Our country needs an ideology. Our country needs, I've traveled by road to about 30 states in America. I'm talking from New York down to San Francisco. I've traveled in that same travel. I went to Yellowstone. I went to the Grand Canyon, the Bryce Canyon, the Mississippi, and so on and so forth. I'll tell you one thing. There is one thing that unites the Americans, and that is love for my country. Love for my country. That is missing in my country. There is no love for this country. Nigeria is imploding under the conflicting pressures of religion, tribalism, and so on and so forth. And greed, of course, greed. So we need to define a national ideology. A national ideology that will guide us and bring us together as a people. In China, they have what they call Confucianism. Confucianism gave birth to the Politburo, the 5-man Politburo, the 7-man Politburo of China. That is what governs China, and that's why China is making leaps and bounds. In India, they are governed by the Hinduism. They speak Hindu in the parliament. That's the best language. English is second. And yet India was colonized for 300 plus years. Nigeria was colonized for less than 100 years. But Nigeria are more English than King Charles. We have a problem. We have to sit down and rejig this country. I agree with those who have said we need a national discussion to develop a national ideology and then to position good leadership for our country. At the rate we are going, we do not have hope.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay, what do you have to say to
Okay, thank you very much, sir. A little away from that, sir, as a professional in the financial sector, I have this question for you, sir. Looking at the Vanguard newspaper, one of the banners of the Vanguard newspaper this morning, are you there, sir? Is he there? All right, sir. So the Vanguard newspaper this morning has it that NLC, TUC, and NECA to federal government of Nigeria says alt fall in Naira value. So we want to, at least talk about the depreciation of our Naira. We're talking about Naira rebound and all. And this morning they said, ask federal government to take urgent actions to stabilize currency. NLC also threatens action to compel government to prioritize the rescue of Naira and our economy. And also, TUC blames IMF, World Bank. And finally, we have free fall of Naira worrisome. That is coming from NECA. So, sir, as regards the depreciation in our of our Naira, what would you have to say? And how far do you think the government can go looking at this continuous rise and fall of the Naira?
The Naira is finding its true level. And what I mean by that is that you and I are responsible for the problem of the Naira. The value of national currencies are determined by the level of balance of payments. Our country, as at the beginning of, at the middle of this year, was committed to paying its outstanding debts of 112% of revenue. 112% of revenue. Nigeria had gone on borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. Nigeria printed money up to about 23 trillion without a solid backing by production and reserves, solid reserves. Nigeria went borrowing on forward trading, $6.8 billion. Forward trading, borrowing, $6.8 billion. And look, Nigeria did forward sale of oil. Nigeria is having, we have contractors and so on and so forth overseeing our oil shores, and yet we have pipelines. We have been shown pipelines diverting crude oil away from the revenue earning capacity of my nation. Look, Nigeria is bleeding. The Naira is finding its true value. Nigeria imports about 65% of its needs. It's so bad that during COVID, Nigeria had to borrow grains from a West African country, I think about 30,000 tons. Nigeria imports virtually everything. Nigeria imports, yet Nigeria does not export good value-added products. Nigeria spends so much money importing refined petroleum, but Nigeria has been exporting crude oil from Oloibiri since 1958, I think February 1958. We've been exporting crude oil. Nigeria has been producing cocoa before I was born, yet Nigeria buys chocolate from Switzerland. Nigeria, when in those days, about 30 years, 40 years ago, the whole Creek Road, Apapa and so on was full of textile factories making textile. All of them are moribund. Kaduna used to have huge textile factories. They are moribund. Nigeria used to have industrial estates in Ikeja, in Apapa, in Ilupeju. How many of them are surviving? Recently, JSK said they were closing and they moved down to Ghana. All the products of GSK now have gone very expensive because Nigeria needs them and we have to import from Ghana. Nigeria is bleeding. Nigeria is bleeding and we are all responsible. But the leaders of this country are not doing the right things. And I would suggest the following. First, the Naira we should do things to enhance production. Instead of giving cash to people, we should enhance production. I thought we were going to give farmers fertilizers. We are going to create cooperatives for farmers to produce goods. I thought we were going to revamp our 14 river basin authorities that are lying moribund. We use money to build river basin authorities to produce integrated agriculture, and yet those river basin authorities, after spending billions in them, are producing nothing. Nigeria and Nigerians need to talk to themselves. We import virtually everything. We do not take pride in what is produced in Nigeria. The average Nigerian would prefer to buy something that is foreign made than something that is produced in Nigeria. Yet he forgets that by buying things made outside Nigeria, you are creating pressure on the Naira. The Naira survives based on the Keynesian equilibrium between supply and demand for the Naira and also for the dollar. Keynesian equilibrium. Now, if there is so much pressure for the dollar, if people are storing their values in dollars, if people have a perception that the dollar is going to rise, there will be continual demand for the dollar. The demand will far outweigh supply. And what is going to happen is basic economics. The value of the Naira will drop. So, we need to change our perception. If we do not believe in our country, stop blaming the Naira. If we do not believe in our country and buying from, and if we do not go to produce in our country, instead we become merchants, trading instead of producing in our country. You cannot have a good Naira. It's as simple as that. The Naira is finding its value based on what we Nigerians have done to the Naira. We have bastardized the Naira. We have lost faith in the Naira. We do not store our values in Naira. We store it in dollar. We buy made in China, made in India. Even our drugs now are imported from India. We have a problem as a people alone. Our people, we need to wake up. The reality of our situation is that we are in a bad situation. We have committed to borrowing and borrowing, and we are doing things the way people did them hundreds of years ago. We are not using the brains we have in this country, and that is the problem.
All right, sir. Finally, what would you have to, of course, you have talked about some of the concerns or some of the problems or challenges we have in Nigeria, and you have also, you know, said some of the ways in which we can also tackle those challenges. But then what would you say to people who constantly sit down to blame the government for them lacking what to do, especially in this kind of hard condition that people are, you know, seeing or facing in Nigeria? What would you have to say to people who are out there thinking the government is the problem or is their problem instead of them looking for a solution? You talked about how, you know, people can go back into agriculture, and you talked about how the government can also provide fertilizers to people. But let's talk about those people, or I would like you to talk directly to these people who are out there thinking that the government has to do almost everything for them.
Now, I don't blame those who are behaving that way, because you see, many people have education without skill. They do not develop skill. We don't teach entrepreneurship in our schools. People just say, I have a degree, I have no job. Degree in those days, yes, there was very low supply of degree holders and the demand was very high. But now, degree, we have everywhere. Nigeria has over 200 universities, both private and public. Nigeria has polytechnics and so on. There is so much degrees. But the point is, what value are you bringing to the table? The average Nigerian will blame others, will not do self-retrospection. That is the problem. I have been confronted many times when people tell me, things are bad, I'm a graduate. I said, what skill do you have? The average graduate in Nigeria, does he have a skill? Do you go backwards to say you want to have a skill that you can develop, a talent that you can follow? You don't just get degrees, you develop a skill. That's the first thing. Secondly, the indolent minds, there are many of them, particularly those who are following what they call religion instead of godliness. Because what we have in Nigeria is a lot of religiosity, but very little godliness in us. Now, those who have been captured in the Karl Marx circle of religiosity without godliness, they blame everything on others. They don't look back. They will say God will do it. God does not do anything. If you don't plan, strategize, and then call on God to bless what you are planning, what you are strategizing. So many of us need to do self-introspection. There are so many things, there are so many hanging opportunities around us we are not taking advantage of. If somebody is a graduate in electrical, if he's not employed, let him help people to install television, to install DSTV connectors, and so on. If you are a graduate and you don't have a job, and you can learn about fashion design, why don't you do so? If you are a graduate and you don't have a job, you can take care from your kitchen, you can produce cake and sell cake and make money. If you are a graduate, you can become a vulcanizer. When I say vulcanizer, you don't have to do it personally. You can get 1 or 2 people to do vulcanizing job for you, open different centers and move around them. So many things. We have degrees, but we don't have skills. And we need to build our skills. And the answer to that is, one, our educational program should be rejigged to have vocational training. Our educational program should be rejigged to have entrepreneurship as one of the courses that graduates should take. Entrepreneurship. and skill development. Our degree programs should be rejigged to have our history and our culture, indigenous culture, given a pride of place. Our degree programs should be rejigged, and then we should find a way by which cooperative societies are expanded. Cooperative societies are very important, in which I can bring in my 10 kobo, you bring in your 10 kobo, 5 kobo, and we run under a cooperative society under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry of your state. There will be cooperative auditors, cooperative inspectors, and so on and so forth. The people making Nigeria and organize them into cooperative societies in production and allow them to take advantage of logistics, supply chain logistics, to buy at a cheaper price, and then use that same cooperative to organize to get very cheap loan under the Bank of Industry, and so on and so forth. Look, we need to rejig our people. Our people need rejigging. We need to re-educate our people and stop blaming leadership. Blame ourselves and blame both, blame leadership. We are all guilty. We are all guilty of the rot of our country. We are all guilty of the decay in our country, both leaders and followers. But I will put more blame on the leaders because they are supposed to straighten the followers. There is no country in the world where people don't break traffic lights at the dead of the night. It is the nations that ensure that they create institutions, they create systems to ensure that those who breach their laws are punished.
Of course. Thank you so very much, Prince, this morning for the knowledge. We really appreciate you. And we hope to have you back again on this show, some other time. But we really appreciate your time this morning.
I hope you will send me the clip of this interview.
Of course we will. We will do that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I will help you circulate it.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank
you, sir.
All right. That was actually a very good one. We really appreciate him and all the light he had to share this morning. And to be honest, it is high time we stopped, blaming people for our wrongs. We should understand that people make mistakes. And I can remember there's a clip. I was going through the internet yesterday and I saw, all those short videos. A lady asked someone, she said, if I should ask you one thing, what would you say to me? And he was like, my advice, okay, if I would ask you to advise me, what would you say to me? And then the old man says, make mistakes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. So many people feel like making mistake and accepting it is defeat, but making mistake and accepting it is actually something that grows you as a human, because you get to understand, okay, this is actually a mistake, and you move from it. But when you keep saying it is not a mistake, which means you've not realized the problem. So we have to know that in mistakes we grow as people. We have to know that we need to accept what we have done wrongly for us to move ahead.
Not just mistakes. In fact, in failure. In failure lies success and achievement. At the end of the day, you get to discover, this is what I've done wrong, this is what I need to improve upon, this is how I need to make it right. Because, if you don't try some things, you will not make headway in life. And I think I support all that Prince Yemisi Shilon has said, and in fact support you, our motivational speaker.
All right, what do you have to say to our viewers before we leave?
As regards the mistake, I just want to remind you that you have to be that one person that you are. You have just one existence and you have to live it. And also remember the fact that there are some people looking, forward to ensuring that you lead them aright. Whatever pace you set is what they will follow. So be conscious of what pace you're leading, be conscious of what footstep you're taking, and be conscious of the footprint you are leaving on the sand of time. Until I come your way next time, same time, on their live this morning, I leave you again in the hands of Tante and Alive Television. I am Miriam, okay?
Of course, and I am Tanti Azad. It has been a swell time having you watch us this morning, and I hope you have learned as much as we did in the studio. And we will see you on Wednesday. Remember to keep watching Alive Television, and the news is going to be coming by 1 p.m. So stay with us.